Hello, I'm here right now in not far from the center of Kyiv near Motherland statue. I'm walking around all amazing places. It's already third day. I have the tour with a couple from US, and it's very interesting because I met them, and David and Nastia come into Ukraine very often, and it's their first time after the full invasion, and David knows about Ukraine a lot.
We know about the Trypillian cultures, that they were very advanced, peaceful, egalitarian society. They have the first models of wheeled vehicles that are attested in the archaeological record.
Has a lot of interesting information to share about with me.
And she makes these amazing pieces to commemorate aspects of Ukrainian culture and history, and we do have a free gallery or exposition in the Las Vegas area of her work. Hello, welcome to our Gallery of Ukrainian Art in Las Vegas. These works are textile arts created by Marina Lukic, a Master of Arts of the Ukrainian Academy of Arts. It's completely free, it's non-commercial. Our goal is just to raise awareness and interest in Ukrainian history and culture.
We're traveling around Kyiv, and we go out of the city, and I asked him to share his thoughts and what he's thinking about being in Ukraine this time. And here we are. Hello everyone, today I had a tour with David and his wife Anastasia. Hello David.
Hello.
So how are you doing? Let me know, how do you like Ukraine this time?
Great. It's very nice, people are great, and many things are operating as usual. I first came to Kyiv in 1999, so it's been a few years, and then I have been traveling here usually 2 or 3 times a year since 2010 to collaborate with medical colleagues.
And before the full invasion, last year you've been in 2021.
That's correct. I was coming regularly until the Russian full-scale invasion.
I noticed David know a lot about Ukraine, a lot about Kyiv. He's been everywhere in city Kyiv. We've been touring for 3 days, and just like I want to ask, do you have some fear to come after the full invasion this year, or like what do you think about like your safeness in Ukraine?
I think it's fairly good right now. We had some concerns initially, wanting to make sure things were stable, and of course I had some apprehension going across the border, but once we did, I found Ukraine was very similar to what I'd experienced before. Of course, there were some differences, air raid sirens at times, and a huge impact that the war has had on everyone's life. But here in Kyiv, we're actually really quite safe with good air defense systems, and the war is fairly far. At least the front is fairly far from here.
Yeah, because I remember since 2022, U.S. government always tell like don't travel to Ukraine like to all American citizens. So glad to know that you decided to come. When do you hear air raid siren? Do you go here to the bomb shelters? What was your plan when you come here?
So I did go down and check out the air raid siren, and then also got some insight from people who live here, and many people noted that at first when the air raid sirens came, they would go to the shelters all the time. Now, because they still happen with some frequency, depending on the time of day, one person told me that during the day they feel fairly safe. It's usually training runs, and many of the missiles strike at night. They go down at night. That's something I would have to defer to the local people and authorities on, to go with the guidance that they're given by the government. But there are air raid shelters that are accessible They're readily indicated everywhere in every hotel and major enterprise and on the street. Everywhere there are signs to indicate where the shelters are located, so that people can have access and know where to go in the case of a security event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to know. So you feel pretty safe, like in Kyiv, in Ukraine, you feel okay?
I do. Now we're traveling in the center and the west of Ukraine primarily, and certainly there are areas, military objects and things like that, key infrastructure obviously that we stay away from, and we do take the guidance of the administration and the local authorities seriously, but I do feel safe here, safer than I felt in many major American cities at night, like Chicago or Baltimore.
From where you came, and what is your travel plans for Ukraine this time?
So I came from the USA, from Las Vegas, and our plan, my main purpose was to reestablish some ties and collaboration with medical colleagues I had worked with, again, going back to 2010, 2 to 3 times a year. We'd come here, we'd cooperate on research work and consultation and other things. And because of the war, many of the colleagues have been unable to leave the country. Many things have changed. I wanted to come and support them how I could.
That's good to know, because I also thought maybe one of the reasons when you wrote me that you traveling to Ukraine with your wife Nastia, maybe to see their relatives and to visit not only Kyiv but also Odessa, from where she's from. But also then I figured out when we had a call that you had a job and you want to visit some hospitals here in Kyiv.
Yes, that's correct. So as you mentioned, my wife is also from Ukraine, and so over almost 9, or actually going on 10 years, becoming with her for much of that time. And her family is in a different part of the country, as you mentioned.
What you see interesting, and also what's in Ukraine is interesting for you.
So I came in Sunday. We came over the border from Poland, and we went to Lviv and saw many of the sites there. And of course, I had been there and seen it before. Lviv is a beautiful city with amazing people, wonderful architecture, and just a great environment. And we also wanted to see how the city had changed since the war, how people were responding, and the impact it was having on society. And so we went to see some of the sites. We also got to talk to some local people and understand some things about how the war was influencing them. We went to see also war memorials in the city, and we went to a military cemetery called the Field of Mars in Lviv, where many soldiers from that area are buried. And it was a very moving experience to see family members and friends and loved ones come out to support their fallen soldiers. And we also went around to see areas that had been damaged, buildings that were damaged by rockets and other signs of the war. And so although Western Ukraine and Lviv is a fairly safe area, and I again emphasize fairly, as I want so people to understand it's important to follow the guidance of the local authorities, the safeguards, use the shelters and so forth. But it was also very moving for us to see firsthand the impact that the war has had on people, on their families, on people's lives, as everyone has been affected by the war in major ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we planned also to see the neighborhoods of Kyiv, to go to Bucha, Irpin, but maybe this will be like next time, because this time we went in other direction out of the Kyiv city. We went to the south because David and Nastia, they were very interested in Trypillian culture.
to say something about why I think Ukraine is important. There are many reasons. I actually I studied Russian in high school, and then I spent some time in St. Petersburg, Russia, and many of the people that I was drawn to there and had good interactions and became friends with were actually Ukrainian. And so I learned that Ukrainian culture was something special, and Ukrainian people were unique and had personal qualities that I felt were positive. Of course, there are different kinds of people everywhere, but in general, I felt very drawn to Ukrainian people and culture. And so I started learning Ukrainian language and learning more about the culture. Ukraine is an incredible place. It is in many ways foundational to human civilization, and the Trypillian culture, as you mentioned, it also called the Kukuteni Trypillian culture. It's from about 5500 to 2750 BC. It was a very advanced Neolithic and Neolithic culture that many people don't know much about because it was suppressed under the communist regime for some years. The scholars and archaeologists who studied it were persecuted. Now many of these things are coming more to light and are being advocated by scholars here and elsewhere. And what we know about the Trypillian culture is that they were very advanced, peaceful, egalitarian society. They have the first models of wheeled vehicles that are attested in the archaeological record. They had multi-story buildings. They were amazing artists with their pottery, their ceramics, the way they decorated their home. They had advanced agriculture techniques. They would move their settlements every 60 to 80 years, presumably for crop rotation, although it's not entirely clear. So fascinating culture, and it was followed by other Ukrainian other cultures on Ukrainian lands that are very fascinating to me, and I think really are at the foundation of human civilization.
Yeah, it's great because a lot of tourists that came to Ukraine, they usually want to see like Kyiv city around, and I never had a tourist that specifically interested in Trypillian culture, and we have one day to go there to this area, have the amazing lunch in their friends in the house.
Ой, Таня, кстати, вы нам сделаете снимочек?
Конечно, всегда, что скажете.
Вот это сок без...
And like it was one-day trip to Trypillia because it took like time to drive from Kyiv, and it was amazing museum and amazing place.
Thank you. We did visit some friends, some Ukrainian acquaintances, a lady who is an artist, and her husband who was a business professor here in Kyiv for many years, and she does amazing textile art. And so Ukraine has a wide variety of art, but one of the most ancient and well-known art forms is embroidery. And you see that in vyshivanki, which are colorful shirts that Ukrainians wear on a special day called Vyshivanka Day, and other times, and their patterns that celebrate their heritage, their family, their region. And the artist we work with, her name is Marina. She makes amazing textile arts that are partly hand sewn, partly involve photography, embroidery, beads, all kinds of different techniques, and she makes these amazing pieces to commemorate aspects of Ukrainian culture and history. And we do have a free gallery or exposition in the Las Vegas area of her work. Hello, welcome to our Gallery of Ukrainian Art in Las Vegas. These works are textile arts created by Marina Lukic, a Master of Arts of the Ukrainian Academy of Arts. Gallery online is at ukrainegallery.org. It's completely free. It's non-commercial. Our goal is just to raise awareness and interest in Ukrainian history and culture. I'm not an expert in the travel and safety. And I think it is very important to be aware of the guidance and warnings from local ministries and health officials. Have good local contacts if you do choose to travel to Ukraine, and I'm having a wonderful time here. Have good local contacts who can advise regarding safety, regarding protocols. There are some important things to know. There's a nighttime curfew, after which people shouldn't be out on the street. I believe it's currently about midnight to 5 a.m., but it may vary temporally. It may vary by area. Again, you don't want to go near, take photographs of military or infrastructure objects. Certainly want to be respectful and follow the law and guidance given by the local civil authorities.
Yeah, great. We also follow all these rules, and all the travelers I also advise about curfew, about shelters. It's like the most important words to know, but yeah, it is like important for all of the rules. I'm very glad that people come into Ukraine even in these terrible times during the war, and I glad to hear that people support us. They have interest in our country, make donations for our army and for people. Like, I'm very glad that people really are interested and still coming. So thank you so much that you come here and for your support and for your interest. Do you think it's important to support Ukraine?
Absolutely. The war between Ukraine and Russia is one between good and evil, between freedom and oppression. It's very important, I believe, to support that. And some people in the West have lost sight of that. We are some years out now from the Second World War and even the Cold War era. Many young people growing up are not closely acquainted or never experienced that. And so for many people, the oppression, the wars, the persecutions are something distant and abstract. And it's very important, I believe, for maintaining our own freedom and for the kind of world that we want to live in the future. A famous Ukrainian hero is the poet Taras Shevchenko. And he lived all but, I believe, 9 of his 46 years as essentially a slave, as a serf. And so here in Ukraine, slavery is something that's not far off. And of course, under the communist era, people were essentially slaves, or in many cases worse. We today saw the memorial of the Holodomor, which was the artificial famine caused by Stalin that killed several million people here in Ukraine. But Taras Shevchenko was inspired in his search for freedom with time he spent in Warsaw, Poland, and he read verses and became acquainted with the work of the Polish poet Adam Mickiewicz. And one of the common phrases or slogans of the Polish freedom fighters at that time was za naszą I waszą wolność, which means for your freedom and ours. And I think it's really important to understand that as free people in the West, we are not going to be able to maintain our own freedom and rights and benefits long term unless we're also willing to stand up for others who are facing oppression. The current benefits, the freedoms, the economic prosperity that we have in the West, to a great extent, result from the struggles and sacrifices of past generations. And so the flame of freedom is something that must be kept alive. It requires ongoing vigilance and sacrifice. It requires aid to Ukraine and other places in the world. It requires statesmanship, leadership, and real sacrifice.
Thank you for all your information and all these words. It was like very interesting to hear. I want to mention that David knows a lot about Ukraine and also speaks Ukrainian and Russian language in very good level. So all this time we spoke on Ukrainian, and we don't use English that much. We do this only for the video. Thank you very much for this video, that you agrees to sharing your thoughts, and that thank you a lot for coming to Ukraine and for this amazing time. And it's our last day in Kyiv. David, where are you going to?
I'll be going to western Ukraine, to Zakarpattia, which is beyond the Carpathians, to work with another medical colleague.
A lot of job and a lot of tours and historical tours and a lot of things to do in Ukraine. I'm really glad to hear all this, and thank you a lot, and see you very soon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and it's a wonderful place to be.
So I just finished editing the video, and the first thing what I noticed, I don't know why I look so bad there. Have no idea. So I hope the situation is changing now, because there was a lot of wind, a lot of sun. So now I'm working from home. So anyway, the main focus is on David. Okay. Deal. So secondly, why I decided to shoot this video and why I like to shoot the video with my tourists, because now in Ukraine and Kyiv is, first of all, it's not tourist season, not many tourists come. The foreigners who is in Kyiv and in Ukraine, they're mostly or journalists or security or fighters. So it's like all about the war. If you ask them why you are here, they come because they come here because of the job, because of the war, because they work in this sphere or so on. But I'm just specifically interested in the people who are just coming to see the country by themselves, or they have some other reasons. Or for example, David, he's a big fan of Ukraine. He knows a lot of history and about Ukraine, Kyiv, different cities, and he has his own gallery with art from Ukraine. It's his own collection. It's not for sale. So I also thought maybe you find this contact is useful. Maybe you can message him. Maybe you can visit this gallery. Maybe somehow I helped him or you to connect with each other. So feel free to message him to find his gallery online. Also, I found YouTube channel from the gallery and so on. So feel free to contact him in Las Vegas, and I hope it will be useful, and I also hope this video is useful for you guys, because one thing is when Ukrainian speaking about the situation in Ukraine, but another thing is when American who came to Ukraine and sharing his thoughts about being in this country, and maybe for you guys it's also interesting to hear some Americans here, because a lot of Ukrainians can tell you it's fine, it's everything okay. It's for me, the tourist and the guest, it's other point of view of my city, and I hope you all find this useful. So thank you a lot for watching this video, and thank you a lot for your donations. I also see all that you follow me on Instagram. I see all the matches that you bought me, Patreon support and so on. So thank you very much. It really helps me to run my YouTube channel, and I also thinking about to working on my YouTube channel more, because I have my main job that takes a lot of time. So YouTube channel I do maybe 2 times per week. So I also keep thinking about because I really like it. I like to be on camera, I like to storytell, I like to do the things about Ukraine. So I also thinking about how my channel will go. So maybe I spending here more time, because also YouTube unlock one function. It's called become a sponsor. Finally, I get some views hours that YouTube could pay me money. But I will see, because I know that the war is not for monetization and so on. So now when you subscribe, you can see become a sponsor. So I just settle in. I just figure out how it's working. Put there all information and so on. So I just get to know about the system. So just let you know, you can also become a sponsor for my YouTube channel, and let's see how it will working. So hope till next video I will figure out more about this function. So thank you that you liked my video. It's not super professional and so on. I just do it's like my vlog, just sharing, and want to show you more about Ukraine and to show you people who is coming here and promoting like Ukraine and Ukrainian arts, tourists, like to show you something else and not only the terrible news from my city. So see you very soon. Thank you a lot, and bye.